We continue our series now, financial planning now for the different age groups. And this week we're talking about those of you in your 30s. Marshall Clay with the Welsh Group joins us now with more. So financial planning in your 30s. If only I could be 30 again. Only a few years ago.
Yes, if we could all go back in time, we'd make a lot of different decisions. But I think last week we talked about those in their 20s, and we talked about that's a period where you can really take some chances and really explore your various opportunities. I think when you start entering your 30s, you really need to start clarifying the path forward. Now, this is not always the case. I see people all the time going back to school in their 30s, even in their 40s or 50s.
Sure.
But really, when you're in your 30s, you really need to start clarifying the career path. And a part of that is really focusing on the technical skills and the soft skills that you need to really achieve upward mobility.
Right, and what do you mean by that, technical and soft?
Yeah, so technical is just the ins and outs of the things that you need to do your job well. And then the soft skills are really communication, embracing mentorship, networking. I think that's a big one. I think regardless of the job that we're in, we're all in some sort of sales and we're all dealing with people. So networking and really embracing those interpersonal.
You know, there's quicker turnover for people working in their 20s and 30s now. So if they see no upward mobility, they're gone.
Absolutely.
So you really should position yourself for that.
Yeah, and I think honing in on those skills gives you the opportunity to jump from one job to the other if you don't like the job that you're currently in. But I think the key too when you get into your 30s is starting to develop those near and long-term financial plans. A lot of times we think we have a bunch of time, but as we all know, 10 years will go by in the blink of an eye.
It goes quick.
Yeah, and so I think we talked about avoiding bad debt, and I
Sure.
think that never really goes out of style regardless of your age, but certainly avoiding the credit cards, the automobile debt.
Is it still recommended to save for a home purchase? Because I know with interest rates as high as they are, properties as high as they are, some people say renting is just, the way to go.
Yeah, I think certainly, renting for the short term if buying is not necessarily an option. But I think once you get into your 30s, you start maybe getting married, you start having children, and sometimes those rental options get a little bit cumbersome.
Yeah.
And so you need a little bit more space. So that's when you need to start saving. Even if you're renting, start saving for that particular.
And that equity you build can help you in the long run too.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And then the other thing I say is know your dollar goal for retirement. So, trying to think 20, 30 years, I know this is very difficult for a lot of people, but trying to think 20, 30 years down the road and understanding how much money you need to save to get you to your goal, I think is really important to have that marker in the sand. And then look to start taking advantage of those tax advantaged accounts like 401ks, IRAs, Roth IRAs. It's never too early to start doing that.
And the earlier you start, the bigger your payoff's going to be at the end. We don't have time to cover all those about managing family risk, but I do want to just real quickly, exploring insurance, what should they be looking at?
Yeah, so life gets more complicated, right? As you start getting older, you have more responsibilities. You get married, start having children. So life insurance is a big part of that, right? I really view life insurance as income replacement. So if you have a wife, you've got a bunch of kids, even if you're making a lot of money, you still haven't accumulated a lot of wealth. So you need to have that insurance to offset that risk.
All right, Marshall Clay with the Welsh Group. You might have seen on the screen there, we're talking about wills and also trust and things. That's a much more complicated subject that we'll have to visit at another time in power of attorney and all that because it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Marshall Clay, we'd always appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thanks.